How we doing? I'm Bill. This is Mark back here behind the camera. I just wanted to go through and show the spike system today. So as Spike says, this is the hot liquor tank. It is really the heart of the system. Next to the hot liquor tank is the mash tun, and then the boil kettle over on the left there. Everything is controlled by the spike system control panel up here. Currently, right now, we are trying to reach our hot liquor tank 160 degrees, and we'll get our mash water up to that as well. That'll be our strike temp for this particular beer. And so I'll show you what's happening and how that whole thing works. So over here on the hot liquor tank, we have a HERM system. HERM stands for heat exchange recirculating mash. And so what you can see in there, there's a heating element into the bottom. We have about 18 gallons of sparge water in there. And then there's also a stainless steel coil. So what's happening currently right now is we have our mash water here, which is heating up, and that's heating through the HERM system. So what's happening is the water is coming out of the bottom spigot, going into a pump, coming out of the pump, in through the HERM's coil. It heats that as it comes through the coil, back out of the coil, and over onto the top. Within the hot liquor tank, that is just heating via the heating element that is in there. It also has lines coming to and from, and essentially what we're doing is we're pulling water out into the pump, out of the pump, and back into the top, and that just keeps us from having any thermal layers, so we have a nice constant temperature throughout. So that's kind of a rundown of the system and where we're at right now. We're going to go ahead and mill up our malts and wait for our temperatures to come in. Great Falls, Montana, we have groundwater about 68 degrees. It'll take us about an hour to get to our strike tank with this system. So we're going to do that and have a beer, and then we'll be back. All right, so we are at strike temp for our mash today. I'm going to go over here and we're going to shut down the work pump and essentially stop the recirculation that's going to happen in the mash tun. And so we're going to go ahead and add our malt to the mash tun. And today we're doing a wit. And so we'll have about 50% Pilsner malt, and then the balance will be wheat and oats. So because there's only two of us, it's going to take two of us to do this, so we're going to have to catch you back up when we're done. All right, so we've got our malts into the mash tun. We're going to go ahead and start recirculating this through here just so we can get our temperature up to where we want it to be for mashing. And in this particular beer, if it's going to stick, this is the one that's going to do it, just because of all the oats and the wheat that we're using. So I'm going to go ahead and ratchet our pump down probably about 25%, and then we'll start recirculating here. So we've got the warp pump coming back on. We'll have work coming out in through the HERM's coil, and you can see, if you come on over here and take a look, we're pushing mainly water out of that right now, but we'll start to see that work coming through here. All right, so we had a few technical difficulties with the recording, but anyway, we are well on our way to recirculating this mash, and you come on over here and take a look. You can see that we're doing a pretty good job of moving that through the HERM's coil and recirculating on top there. we're getting close to our target mash temp. We want to be at 152 today for this beer, and we're right at 146, 147. So it's climbing up. So we'll let this work for an hour or so, and then we'll start the transfer and be back to you then. All right, so we're back after an hour in the mash tun and a couple of great beers later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to transfer from the mash tun into the boil kettle. And with this system, it's really pretty simple to do. There's actually only 2 connections that we have to make out of this entire spider web of tubes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the pumps off. And we're going to move this line here from the Herms coil over into the boil kettle. And then we're going to move the hot liquor from the bottom of the tank through the pump, out this hose, and into the mash tun. And this will be our sparge water that we're doing there. So we've got all of our valves back open, everything is open and ready to flow. And we'll go ahead and turn our work pump on. And we should start seeing work come through. Here very shortly. And we're starting to fill the kettle. And what we're going to look to do is we want to try to get this up to our volume, our boil volume, at about 6 gallons every 15 minutes or so. So we're going to go ahead and try to transfer at that rate. It's going a little slow. We can open that valve up a little there. And then we're going to go ahead and start our water pump. And get our sparge water starting to roll here. We're going to try to match the inflows and the outflows as much as we possibly can. Try to keep about, maybe an inch or 2 of water on top of that grain bed there. Once our wort gets above the heating coil there, then we'll go ahead and we'll turn the boil kettle on, and that'll help save some time as we're heating that up kind of on the fly here. So we're going to let that run. We're going to drink some more beer, and we'll be back shortly. All right, so we've transferred all of our wort into the boil kettle. We're at a little over 18.5 gallons right now. You can see that there, it's close to the top. We came in right at just about 44 minutes on that sparge, so that's pretty good. Got 44 seconds left on what we thought we would get to. Our boil temp currently right now, we're shooting for 206. We're at 191, and so that's all done on the fly, so that saves us a lot of time right there. We're almost ready to boil as the sparge finishes up. So we're going to watch that, make sure we don't have any boil overs. And we're back. So we've got our boil rolling right now. Just got through the hot break there, so all those proteins busting apart and creating a bunch of foam. Managed not to have a boil over, so that's really good. One thing with this system is that the boil burner is on a little bit different of a deal, in that it's a percentage of the output of the burner, and so we used about 70% of the burner, which means that it's on 70% of the time. And now we've got down to about 60%, and that's given us a nice little roll boil there. So got us up to our 206 where we're boiling at right now. We're going to go ahead and throw in our first hop addition and watch that. Make sure we don't have any boil over issues. Smell the super fine aroma coming out of there. It's going to be fantastic. And now we start our cleaning process. So we're going to let this go for an hour, get our mash tun cleaned out, get our pumps cleaned out, and we'll be back. Our whirlpool now. And how we're going to do that is we're going to come out of the boil kettle. We're going to go into the top of the pump. We're going to come out of the pump, and we're going to go into the counterflow wort chiller, out of the counterflow wort chiller, and then back into the whirlpool spigot here. And we'll do that. We'll be able to sanitize the counterflow at the same time. So the way we start that is we're going to make sure our valves are off here real quick. We're going to open up our boil kettle. Then it's cavitating a little bit on the back. We're going to open up our pump, prime our pump. We're going to open up the outlet to the pump, and we're going to make sure that our whirlpool is open. Again, we're starting to cavitate a little bit through there, which is okay. You might be able to catch that. Now we're going to go ahead and turn on our wort pump here. And that is now starting our whirlpool. So you can see coming out, into the pump, out of the pump, into the wort chiller, out of the wort chiller, back in through the whirlpool, and we'll let that run for 15 minutes. What that'll do is go ahead and concentrate all of our hop sediment, all of our proteins, those kinds of things into the middle and build a nice beautiful cone so we don't get anything into our fermenter. So we're going to let that go for another 15 minutes and we'll be back. Anyways, we're going to move, we're going to come out of the boil kettle again into the pump, through the wort chiller, and then into our fermentation chamber. So we're going to close this valve here. This was our whirlpool chamber, and this is the point where you will burn the hell out of yourself if you're not really careful with it. Alright, so what we're going to do is turn our wort pump on, open, and we're going to slowly open this valve here and watch that our temperature, we want to get our temperature down. We're starting to go a little fast there. We're going to get this is a wit, so we're going to get her down to about 75 or so. We're still a little warm there. We'll slow it down a bit. We also have the fermentation vessel that has a chiller on it as well. It's going to help us with that. So we're going to go ahead and run this through here. It'll be about 15 minutes or so. And then we'll catch up to you when we start throwing some yeast into this thing. So, cheers. All right, sports fans, this is where the magic happens, is down here in the brewery. Fermentation vessel. We're going to throw our yeast in here right now. So I've propagated a bunch of American Hefeweizen. Got that from White Labs, just one vial, and built it up to about the equivalent of 3 or 4 vials. So I'm going to pull this off right now and dump her in the fermentation chamber. There we go. We're in at about 15.5 gallons overall. Happy with that.